The Innova Fox is the newest understable mid-range release. Innova gives it the numbers 55, -2, 1. They actually sent me out a prototype Fox, which we'll be throwing, as well as to just normal stock Star Fox. I threw them already, and they fly the same, just one shot each, because today, there's 2 ways that I can lose this video. It will be a challenge out here at Owl's Den, my favorite front 9-hole course, to review mid-ranges, because you have everything from 210-foot shots to 375-foot shots, all of which can be reached with a mid-range. But I brought out 11 competitor discs. We're not gonna be throwing all these all the time, but the Fox is gonna have to go against 1 disc every hole and 3 discs on the final hole in a CTP battle. If it loses, the stock Fox gets put into my bounty bin, which I'm doing giveaways for my Course Quest series, and I'm putting discs in that giveaway bin at a higher rate than I'm filming those videos, so likely there's gonna be a big giveaway at the end of the year with a lot of these discs as well. That happens if I can't beat it with all of these discs, which you're seeing being thrown right now, some of which are hyped new releases that are in a similar enough category that I thought to bring them out. Some of them are discs that I think are connected to the Fox in some way because they're either old Innova or something that is being replaced or just modified for a different arm speed with this new Fox release. And some of them I think are just the best comparisons for the disc. But there's a second way that I can lose this video, not only if I lose a CTP battle, which hopefully doesn't come down to the last hole because it'll have to beat out 3 discs. And I'm only giving myself 1 shot for the CTP battle. We'll alternate between the Proto and the stock Fox. But one of the discs in here is the Mono from Thought Space Athletics, a disc that on the 1st of this month I reviewed at the same course against the Pathfinder, and I believe they both shot 5 under par. So if the Fox loses to the Mono, one of its competitor discs, not only in the CTP battle, but in the score battle, I'll also put this one in the giveaway. I don't put both of them in if I lose both of them. This prototype Fox is pretty sweet, and I'm definitely keeping this. Feel honored that Innova would send it out to me, but I do have to win both to not put the stock Fox in the giveaway. Let's see how it flies. 55, -2, 1. It is an interesting profile. Very much, to me, like the Innova made MD3, aka the Infinite Chariot, which we'll throw against it on hole 1, and show the profiles every hole as well. But it seems like the Fox is this disc, the MD3 Innova made, just a little bit thinner, more beveled, and shallower. Hey, this will be the first of 3 quick interjections. I'm at a retreat that my wife's company is putting on, so we got some beautiful mountain views. But I was messaging with someone named Alex on Instagram, and judging based on their profile picture, they're on Team Innova. Because I had posted on my second channel, Banana Froth, that I was gonna be posting this video, he'd messaged me saying that he thinks the Fox is a modified Panther, which is an older Innova mold. And then I looked at the profile of the Panther, and the shoulder was a little rounded, and I was like, it doesn't look the same. The shoulder of the Fox looks much more like the MD3. The MD3, I've had those pictures on the screen for a second so you can get a better view, because this is the only comparison that I didn't do a great job of filming and showing in this video. But he actually reached out to Jeff Panis, the main kind of spokesperson for Innova, and Jeff says that they are new parts, not just kind of reusing other parts like a top and a bottom from a different disc. So it could be based off of an MD3, could be based off of Panther, could be based off something else. It is its own new disc, and I did find out something super interesting compared to these other mid-ranges that you'll see me back here for in a couple of minutes. But for now, let's get on to throwing the Fox on the course versus its first contender, the old Innova made MD3, probably the Infinite Chariot. I'm not 100% confirmed that those are the same disc, but I'm like high 90s. I will get 2 off the top with the Fox in the first hole, so hopefully it gets the CTP, and hopefully it gets the birdie. It's the only one I'm putting from. 276 feet. Here we go, little tailwind. Okay. It's a good thing we have 2 off the top. Much better. Yeah, just flip up and go straight. That tailwind is affecting it. I don't think there was a tailwind on those initial shots that I threw with it. It kind of came out for some of the later ones that you saw in the intro. But this Chariot from Infinitus, also max weight, as are both of those. It does honestly have a similar shoulder feel, even in hand. It just feels deeper. A little bit of flex, a little too much flex. Get through? I think the Fox has it. Chariot is definitely a little more overstable. I'm excited to see how the Fox fares on hole 2. I'm putting it up against its best competition, I think, in the Origin there, which is my favorite disc in this category right now. Kind of the 55, -1, -2, 1 disc, because that is the 375-foot slight gap shot. And the Origin, I think, is the most consistent one that I would have on that hole. We'll see if the Fox can handle it. Not bad from the Chariot, but that Fox is about 5 feet closer. Thank goodness I played 2 off the top, huh? Because this first one is way back here. I don't think it's a good sign when your putter is trying to flee from you on the first hole. It doesn't matter. Whew. I did think that was a bad open though. Stock needs some redemption, so we'll go stock on the evens, proto on the odds, meaning that this is the last hope on hole 9. Hole 2, 375. You need to throw slight hyzer through this gap and let it just stay on turn. Maybe fade at the end because it's very far, but it's a very specific hyzer angle that you have to hit. Here is the Midnight Prowl 2, or the Discmania Origin. Midnight Prowl 2 is just the name for a signature version of it. This is very rounded over, and this is the profile. I haven't compared all these off camera yet, so I'll let you guys give your own thoughts on them in the comments or just by yourself. If there's anything strikingly similar or different about them, I'll let you know. I don't know what it is. These all feel like the rim is a little more in this way. The rim does feel slightly wider on the Fox. I'll look on PDGA just to see if it is a little wider. I'll put its specs up here, and then I'll check all the other discs. And as I was figuring this out, I went through a little bit of a rabbit hole. I wanted to look at every single disc's rim thickness. The thickness measures from like the inside wall where your hand is to the outside of the wing, and the Fox had a thickness of 1.5 centimeters, 15 millimeters, making it what you'd think a 5-speed, because a lot of times if you subtract 1 from whatever the centimeter measurement is, you get the speed. So like a Destroyer is 2.2 centimeters, a Wraith 2.1. At least in theory, that's how it works, and it's not a hard and fast rule. But I had to write all these down because I checked all the discs, and then I checked a bunch of other discs because my hands felt something correct. The Fox measures at 1.5. Every other disc is either 1.3 or 1.4, with the Stingray being an outlier at 1.2. And I'll actually mention when I pick up the Stingray that it feels like it's much smaller on the rim. This is pretty interesting because the Origin, Melita, Buzz SS were all 1.3. The Chariot, Mako 3, Mana, Netza, Supra, and M4 were all 1.4 centimeters. So I looked up a bunch of 6-speeds because I was like, is this a 6-speed? Because it feels fast. It doesn't feel like a 6-speed because I've thrown 6-speeds before, like the Stig, which is in my mountain disc golf bag, the Zombie, the Cheetah, the Leopard. And so the Zombie is 1.6, so a little bit bigger on the rim. And it actually looks like it has more of a fairway driver rim. The Stig is 1.6 as well. The Cheetah and Leopard also 1.6, but the Cax Z and the Cax plus other 6-speeds are 1.5 centimeters. Very interesting. But then I looked up all of the other 1.5 centimeter bad boys. 2 that really intrigued me were the Verdict from Dynamic Discs and the EMAC Truth. The EMAC Truth, if you remember, I threw with EMAC earlier this year, and I was like, wow, this feels like a fast mid-range. And so the Verdict, EMAC Truth, Cax Z, and Cax all have the same centimeter rim width, or rim thickness, they call it on PDGA, as the Fox, meaning the Fox is kind of like a faster version of all these other Flippy mid-ranges, because all these other ones, EMAC Truth, Verdict, Cax Z, Cax, those are all straight to overstable, not understable mids. The Stig would be the understable 6-speed, but it's a little bit bigger in the rim. So this kind of fits a unique category. And that was a fun thing to kind of go off on a tangent on last night, searching every single disc possible on PDGA. And I'm going to talk about this later in the video. And it's good to know with the data from PDGA's site that what I was feeling was reality. And it might have some implications later in the video. So let's get back to it and throw in this pretty sweet hole. Thank you for listening to this tangent. There will be one more based on a mistake that I make later in this video. No, that's out of the way. Fox it is. Keep turning. Okay. I wonder if my timing or something was just great on that first shot. That got good push. I definitely thought it'd be a little flippier than that. I thought I threw it really well, but it wasn't quite that understable. Origin, it's got his work cut out for it, but this is the disc I think I know the best out of these. I guess not. What the heck? I do think the Fox is flippier than that. Wow, this is going to be close. The Origin did go a little farther. It looks like the Origin actually has the CTP by a couple feet. That basket looks just a bit closer from the Origin lie. I don't have my rangefinder, so we're not doing it super scientific. Let's try to be as fair as possible. Almost. Hole 3, 210, the shorty of the course, Proto versus the Melita. This is kind of a newer mid-range. I think the stock run's gonna be coming out soon. Definitely a little more overstable, I believe, than the Fox. That shoulder's just a little higher. It's a little blunter. But we're throwing a forehand with both of these, so I figured it'd be fun to test out. The Melita feels a little small, and the Fox feels a little wide, just in terms of the rims. This feels more like on the 4-speed end of a 5-speed, and this feels like more on the 6-speed end of a 5-speed. Yeah, the more I've picked this up, the more I've been surprised at how fast this feels for a mid-range. Headwind, forehand, 215 feet. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Well, wasn't quite hyzered enough. But that's gonna be 2-0, or 2-1. Go in. Oh, that's just over top. Because it actually feels pretty solid on a forehand, even though it does feel flippy, I'm gonna throw it as a second shot on the next hole, just to test that like straight forehand, like hyzer flip it at the basket. Because I liked how this flew, it's just, I was gonna have a hard time keeping it on hyzer, especially the way I throw my forehands right now. Oh, don't roll. That's rude. The only Mako 3 that I own is this collab stamped one that I did with Nate Turner. Disc is 5500. I thought that this would maybe be a modified version of that, but seeing the micro bead that the Fox has and the shoulder, it definitely seems more like a repurposed and redesigned MD3 that Innova used to make for Discmania than this. The flights will be a little different, I believe. I think the Fox is going to be a decent bit more understable at a -2-1 versus a 0-0. But the things that you see the pros do with the Mako 3 might be what you're able to do with the Fox, because I think the glides are going to be pretty similar. Stock Fox, 259. Keep it on a little hyzer. Sit down. Oh, get there, I guess. That is not bad. So I popped out a little hyzer and a little nose up. Mako 3, I think a little hyzer nose down will get the same shot, or a little flatter on the same nose angle. Oh, that might be another CTP for the non-Foxies. It does help that I'm throwing them all second, but that's part of the fun. Forehand. Oh, that is gonna be, wow, that's sick. I do really like how this feels on a forehand. I think being more on the 6-speed side of mid-ranges, because of how wide the rim feels, I like, because it feels like it fits your hand more. Some mid-ranges, especially flippy ones, if I try to flick them, they feel like a little less control, just because there's less rim in your hand. But this doesn't feel as much like that. And if you can get the nice amount of hyzer and spin and less wobble, that flight was really desirable. I could see that being thrown in some woods. Although the second Foxy is closer, the first one is a touch farther than the Mako 3. I am 2 through 4 though, which is nice. But I am 2 back on the CTPs. And unfortunately, I gotta win both if I wanna keep these bad boys. Next up on hole 25, we have a 325-foot tunnel shot. You can throw like a forehand, or the play that I like with a disc like this is throwing in hyzer within about 5 feet to the right of that big bushy tree and let it stand up through the gap and get to flat and then just fly straight. The Proto Fox this time is gonna be going up against an old Innova disc, the Stingray. I have a Star Stingray that I got in one of my subscriber mystery boxes. I might have to bring that series back. Sorry if you've messaged me about it and I haven't gotten back to you. The Stingray here, they call 4.5 -3-1, but it feels way wider than even a lot of these discs, but not in the, whoops, but not in the rim. The rim actually feels less wide. It doesn't look like a 4-speed compared to a 5 or 6-speed, but overall the disc feels quite wide. I feel like nowadays, if you make the rim smaller, the diameter of the disc goes in with it, but this is an older mold, and it's not quite like that. And in my testing, the -3-1 of this was pretty similar, one of the most similar to the Fox, and it's an old Innova made disc. Well, it was within 5 feet. I just needed it to be a little righter. I'm thinking it's flippier than it is. It's flying more true to a lot of these other ones than I would have expected based on the first 2 throws that I had with it. Stingray, let's see if it can't steal another CTP. Door's open. Maybe there's a right to left wind. Okay, that makes sense. Oh, it hit a tree. I think the Fox is gonna be closer. This would be a cool time to try out this saucy forehand, and if this works, this is a forehand dream. Oh my gosh. That is so glidey. I'm not like throwing my mids 325 on a forehand, and that hit trees basket high next to the basket. Stingray did come up just short there. This isn't a hole I expect to birdie on the front 9. The hole 3 is, so this would be a nice comeback for missing that one. All over the metal today. 2 through 5. Still have time. It's just dwindling. The second fox that threw on a forehand is past pin high, and it would have kept going too. I'm impressed with how this thing forehands. It might sneaky be a forehand disc, but only like turnover forehands. I think trying to keep it on hyzer, they're gonna have a tough time, but it's time to get as saucy with the backhand as I have been with these last couple forehands. This one is 265 feet, finishing off to the right. I could try a hyzer forehand, but like I just said, we don't want to try that. And so with this tree in the way, you need to throw something just inside of it on the right level of either hyzer, flat, or turn to get it to be moving towards the basket. And the disc that I'm throwing this against is one of the better contenders, I believe. The balance. This is a neutron balance versus the fox here. That's the differences that they look like. I think that they'll have a similar flight. The fox feels a little more streamlined in your hand. It's a very round feeling disc. I've noticed that over the last couple of holes. Overall, it's very round feeling. The balance feels a touch deeper, so I actually prefer the feel of the fox. Yes. Come out of that. Go in. Sit down. Whoops. I got the angle just right. I just overblew it by about 50 feet. The detour snuck around that. I think it's another CTP for the non-foxies. And now we'll bring it back to 2 back. The flights were pretty similar. I think the fox did seem like it was faster there though. Maybe I gave it a little more power. I'm not obviously 100% consistent on my shots, but the fox seems to want to pop more than many of these other mid-ranges. Good news and bad news with how far I accidentally threw the fox. The detour, even if it was behind the tree, would have still beat it out for CTP. Never even close. That was though. Oh. Hole 7, 340 feet. This hole has typically been playing with a little bit of a headwind. Right now it looks like it's actually mostly right to left with a touch of headwind, which is pretty equally difficult with a disc that you need to be turning for most of the flight since it's pretty understable. So you need to get just the right amount of hyzer that it's gonna flip and hold turn, but not too much that the wind pushes it too early. This round, we're gonna be throwing the mana against the fox. Shoot, I just realized I need all 3 CTPs to win this. Oh man, including the last one. But it does, again, feel not quite as wide in the rim. It feels more like a truer 5 speed, whereas this feels closer to that 5.5, 6 speed. I think these will have very similar flights though. Come on, stay high enough. Oh, dang it. I got that nose over a little too early, and the wind took it and held it. This could end it for the CTPs. Very similar flight. It does just feel slower. Hit the same tree. No! Oh, it kicked right. That's gonna be close as to which one's closer. I might have to bring out the surgical measuring tools, AKA U-disc measurements. I was gonna go to the basket to see which is closer, but most people with eyes would say that that's pretty obvious. Lost the CTP battle. The only way I can keep the fox, I'm gonna throw both of them now, is if I ace one of these last 2 holes, because ace trumps everything. This is actually a really fun, great disc, just not my best showing, which is totally okay. Stay up. Let's go. I don't know why I just turned French, but I did. Hole 8, 283, Buzz SS. A little bigger, a little chunkier. So even though I think this one is negative 2-1, I think it's typically more like negative 1-1. Sometimes it's super flippy, but fox first. Ah! Too much hyzer. And too short. I don't know why I was still trying to birdie. I need to try to ace. And the Buzz SS. Just seems to not quite have as much glide and a little bit more over stability. Oh no. 2 nose up. Nice flight though. Another CTP for the contenders, but I get to practice my circle 2 putts, so who's the real winner here? Spoiler, it's not the fox. or my circle 2 putts. It's the Fox circle 2 putts. You gotta put them together. Now it's time for the triple battle. I don't have my A game, but I'm still able to tell that this is a pretty solid disc that I think a lot of people would really like. I was able to surprise myself with that forehand that I threw on hole 5, and honestly hole 4, just keeping it that straight. There are others that are like it, but this does seem to just be that tick faster than those other discs, meaning that it'll likely go a little farther. It will take a little more power to get all the turns. So if you're throwing like a detour and it flips up easily, this one will flip up just not quite as easily. But if you're throwing with a lot of wobble or spin, it'll actually be more forgiving because it's not going to burn over as fast as something else in this category because it is a little bit on the faster side, wider rim. So those are my thoughts on it at least. The 3 discs we'll be throwing here are the Netza from Yikun discs. 5.5 -20 are its numbers. I think it's a touch more overstable than that, but very close. The Finish Line discs Supra, again, a straight to understable mid-range. They wanted to make it like a Buzz. It came out a little flippier than that, so good comparison. And the Prodigy M4, which is kind of like the Buzz comparison. It's actually a lot deeper than the Fox. I just had my microphone in my bag because I took a thumbnail picture that whole time.
So yeah, I'm going to subtitle this next part, and if you've ever wondered what it's like to watch one of my videos while you're underwater, you get a little bit of a sneak peek here. You're welcome.
Wait, I threw the wrong Fox on the last. I'm not throwing the wrong Fox. The Pro, though, was supposed to be in the odds. That's why I lost. That's crazy. That had nothing to do with how I threw and everything to do with throwing the wrong version of the exact same ball. Ah. Come on. Come on, come on, come on. Keep up and go right. That's a fun disc. I'll leave those linked down below if you do want to pick one up. I will see this in a lot of people's bags. That's it, make off. Wow, way more. Actually, I like how it came out of my hand. But this didn't though. Super. There we go. Stay up. Come on. Okay, it's just a little low. That was so pretty. Oh god. That Fox is going in the bounty bin. The ways that you can win it will be explained in the course class video. I think another one will be posted tomorrow or within the next couple days at a course that I didn't intend on going to, but my wife's company retreat is actually at this place. So, and they have a disc golf course, and apparently they just got in T-pads. Hopefully you enjoyed the music, and hopefully what I just said was picked up by that. Otherwise, I have a lot of editing work to do. Microphone back in the bag.